Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast, episode number 75. We are recording this on Sunday, September 25th at 8:35 a.m. So if you hear a little rasp in the voice, it's a bit early these days. As always, joined by the best co-host of a sports card podcast in the business, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy?
Your rasp or my rasp?
Either one, take your pick.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a choice. I'm up anyway.
Yeah,
You
well,
you could be sleeping in.
yeah, for some reason I can't seem to get back to where I can sleep past like 7:30 anyway. So, and
You look more awake than I am.
I don't know how. Unfortunately, my smoke detector started chirping at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm literally on a ladder at 3 a.m. Trying to get batteries out.
I would have threw a shoe at it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I
Oh
did
yeah.
not do that. Anyway, let's roll right into the episode. We got a lot to talk about today. So we're going to start first and foremost with a follow-up on Topps Chrome. Topps did issue a statement about the whole situation where the short prints of the 5 rookies were not in the original print run. You want to walk us through a summary basically of what that statement said and then what they're doing as a make good.
Yeah, they re-clarified it again later. They made it clear that there was an error in with the production company where to put them. So they didn't get into, as we know, the initial release. They are in the light boxes and 2 other future releases that have Topps Chrome. I don't understand what those are yet, but 2 future releases they're in. They're in the Hobby Light and they're in the Blasters. I understand. So the Hobby Light boxes and Blasters are taking off a little bit, especially once the first couple of those get pulled. But Topps is issuing an extra silver pack, I guess per box.
Yeah, and what is there, 2 short prints in each silver pack? Is that what I understand?
I think either a short print or a serial numbered card. I read.
Yeah. There's two. I think there's 2 cards in the silver packs, right?
In these, yeah, usually
Yeah.
there's more, but in these packs, I read 2.
So
But
our
that doesn't seem right to me. How can you put? There's only 5 of those cards. If every single box sold is getting a pack with a short print in it, there's gonna be a billion short prints. They're not short print, so I don't know
well,
why anybody cares.
the whole thing is though it's not going to be just those 5 guys. I would assume in those silver packs though.
Oh, the way you worded it was like, oh, you're getting a short print in your silver pack.
Well, you are, but you could get a short print of Joe Blow, who's the fucking second baseman on the worst team in the league. I mean,
Well, that makes me feel better.
yeah, you're not getting only short prints of those 5 guys in every single pack.
There's no other short printing cards in the set, so that's why I was curious.
I don't know. Maybe they'll fucking add some more. Who knows? I mean, the way I read it was that there was going to be 2 short print in the silver packs. All right, let's look this up and.
Here it is. For those of you who purchased Hobby or Hobby Jumbo products that did not contain the short print rookie variations, Topps is providing 1 4-card. Now that's different than the initial release. 1 4-card silver pack for each 2022 Topps Chrome Hobby and Hobby Jumbo baseball boxes purchased through Topps.com, hobby shops, or breakers that purchase directly from us. Topps has updated these additional silver packs to include 4 cards because initially the release had 2
Yeah,
cards.
it did say 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Topps has updated these additional silver packs to include 4 cards, and the short print variations will be randomly inserted in these packs. See, because their original reading, I think, made it seem like everyone was getting one. And that's why, and they probably got 100 emails. And the short print variations will be randomly inserted in these packs. Additional cards may include a mix of 2022 Chrome Baseball base cards, along with inserts and other surprises.
Ah, there you go. Okay.
Can you imagine you get 3 base cards in your silver pack and just some dopey other card? I think they're going to end up pissing more people off than helping with this. But
I mean, that's what you get in a regular box. So what's going to make a silver pack any different? You get a bad
well,
box.
I think they were trying to make up for the fact that people felt they were like really value deprived in their purchase.
Well, I mean, for the junkies out there, it's one other thing they get to open, one extra pack that they get to open with
no
a potential surprise
no
in it. So
no doubt. I just after reading that, my first takeaway is like, man, these are going to be garbage. Some people are going to hit big and do well, but the majority of people are going to be like,
It's just like any other box. I
And
mean,
honestly, listen. A majority of these boxes are going to. This is a whole nother issue. That what are the breakers and dealers and distributors? Are they all going to do right and get them to where they're supposed to go? For starters, I hope so. And
but
then
the
the other thing is too, if they were in breaks, you're going to open this one 4 card pack, and you're going to put one card in each of the stack it belongs in, and people aren't even going to be excited about this, especially if you're on the break side of things.
but the question is this the best that Topps could have done as far as a make good and, as far as providing anything? Are you satisfied that they at least did something?
Well, I think when we talked about it, I said I don't know what you can do. I didn't
Yeah.
know how they were going to rectify it. I didn't think they would do anything because I didn't know what possibly physically could be done. And then they came up with this. We'll just send out some more silver packs. Um, for me, with the Chrome I bought into, I don't care about them. Like I get it. I didn't have a chance of those cards, but I didn't buy those teams directly. I was in breaks that it didn't matter. I mean, I did. I end up with the Mariners in a random team break. Sure, I did. So I guess if that silver pack comes through and there's a Julio Rodriguez in there, it's coming my way. But it's so like winning the lottery at this point.
Yeah.
The odds of getting something, I could care less.
Yeah.
But there are people seriously emailing Tops every day, like, dude, I want my cards. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep emailing until you're blue in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not getting anything. But
Listen, they did something, and that's all that matters. If they pull it off smoothly, and a couple people post some big hits in these silver packs, and again in a week nobody will care.
yeah, I would agree. I mean, the product itself isn't crazy expensive, and that they at least acknowledge that they messed up and that they sent out additional stuff. It's the best that they can do in this situation. You can't send it. This isn't like 1982 where you can send in your proof of purchase and 6 to 8 weeks later they're going to send you something out. It just doesn't work that way anymore. So
Right.
I'm not upset with how they at least admitted fault and did try to do something to make up for it. And I think that um, it's better than you're getting from Panini in a lot of situations. Panini leaves people to die. So I think it's at least something.
Yeah. Well, hobby boxes have fallen under $200. They're like 189, $190.
And are those on eBay or are those like
These are eBay. I'm talking. I'm not
yeah?
looking at distributors. So that's on eBay, and then the hobby light boxes, where we believe the short prints may be found, they were selling direct through Topps for $99 right off the site. And then the last I looked, the first couple had sold for 150. So your light boxes are almost hitting, and I wouldn't be shocked if they exceeded the hobby boxes just simply because of those short prints in there, even though it's a 1 in a million chance you hit one probably.
Are they
But
still for sale on Topps' website or did they sell
as
out?
of yesterday, I don't think they had sold out. I still think you can grab hobby light boxes for 99
People were
bucks.
buying hobby light boxes on eBay for $150, even though they were being sold on Topps' website for 99.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a whole
Fucking
big push.
idiots.
Don't call people stupid. But I don't know what else you call individuals that.
Well, I'm gonna call them stupid. Okay. If you buy these things on eBay for 150 bucks and you can buy them off Topps Direct for 99, then you're stupid.
All right, so thank God. The last couple pre-sales went for exactly what it is offline, but I did see $150 sale, but there hasn't been multiple. They're all selling for the same amount right off top, as they should because they weren't sold out on Topps.com.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they sell out on Topps.com, then the price will go up on eBay. But for the time being, once again, always check distribution channels first before you're buying stuff off eBay. I mean,
Yes.
unfortunately, number one, we don't ever recommend buying hobby boxes off eBay unless you are buying the box to put away as an investment for long term and you just need a box. If you're buying a box to open a box, we don't recommend buying them off eBay simply because you never know if you're getting the loose box that, all the case hits have already been pulled or, all the autos or whatever else, and you're getting the shit leftover box. So we never recommend buying boxes off eBay unless it's rare and you're buying it as an investment and it's going to sit on your shelf or in your safe or whatever for a long period of time.
Yeah, and I've said that before while we're talking about it, public service announcement. The breakers, if they're not pulling the case out of the case box on screen, 9 times out of 10, it's a loose box break.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a mixer and whatever, and they're not showing you where those boxes came from, and it's clear there wasn't enough mixers to have enough to fulfill a case. It's all loose boxes, so you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of not so upstanding individuals that are breaking, and they own hobby shops, and they'll put some out on their shelves, or they'll do breaks in the stores, and they'll see what gets pulled, and then you get the loose leftovers for breaks or stuff that's sold on eBay.
Yeah, and some of the breakers, they're not doing it intentionally. It's just all they could get. I'm just saying, be aware of, if you're not seeing that case pulled out of a box in a certain break or what have you. You don't know what's been cherry picked or how many boxes were opened before they got sold to that individual. So
Yeah.
the same way, it's just a reverse way of taking all the good stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we've rambled on enough about this. You have any other further comments about Topps Chrome at this juncture?
No, I'm gonna wait for the Hobby Light and the blasters to be shipped and opened and see. Now the next question is, how many are there?
Yeah, you got to get an idea of. I mean, are the cards actually physically in product now that you can buy?
Yeah, they're in the Hobby Light and the blasters, I believe.
Which were sold on Topps recently, which are going to take 10 to 15 days for
Yeah,
delivery.
I didn't get a ship notice yet.
Okay, so that means that we're looking at least another 2 or 3 weeks before these get pulled.
I believe so. And then we got to look into it. We can talk about it future. There's 2 other releases where they say you can find these cards in. So I don't know. I don't know what that's all about.
They're gonna just jam them into like Topps update or something.
Yeah, I don't know. No, it wasn't Top Update. It was things I've never heard of. And sounded as if I didn't care to hear of them, but
Fair
it just
enough.
makes me think there's way more than we think.
Yeah.
If you have enough to hand out in silver packs, enough to put in this product, and enough to put in a future release, Topps
Yeah.
turned on the printing press. As soon as this happens, like, we got to print another 1,000 of these bad boys and put in silver packs.
It's always possible. All right, let's move on.
What do we got?
Another popular topic that's been making its way around the hobby, so to speak, is the idea of cleaning versus altering. There has been a gentleman by the name of Kurt's Card Care. We've mentioned him on our show before. His content is actually becoming more and more popular. Kurt sells a kit, and once again, this is not an ad. We are not sponsored by. We do not endorse or any other bullshit that you got to say. This is just for topic of conversation. He sells a kit to help basically clean cards, fix scratches, etc., and he posts a lot of this content on Instagram. He does Instagram lives on Wednesdays. He has drawn the attention of certain sports card influencers, as well as Nat Turner himself, in regards to what he is doing could be considered altering. There have been some, I guess, famous cards that have been originally graded 9s, and then he has shown that they've come back 10s, one of which was a pretty valuable Kobe. I think there was also some accusations that some things were done to the Herbert that recently sold for $1 million plus. So there is definitely a spotlight on this right now. And you and I definitely have differing opinions. So I'm going to yield the floor to you as far as whether or not you feel some of the stuff and content that he's doing is cleaning versus altering, and where's your line in regards to what you can do to a card that isn't considered altering the card for future grading or future value.
First of all, scratches can't be fixed. Second of all, if all you're doing is cleaning the surface, I have no issue with that. But if you're making a 9 become a 10 because you can somehow do something to dupe the graders because you did something to the edges or the corners, I don't know. Half of me wants to say, good for you, you slipped one by the goalie, and the other half is you altered the card.
Well, you got to take a stance, or you can't play freaking monkey in
Oh
the
no,
middle
no! If I'm
here.
taking a stand, I think it's garbage. Yeah, I mean, you're altering the card. He's more altering cards than he's not. So if the issue here is you can't alter cards, and they're always throwing out cards that they feel are not authentic because they were trimmed, this, that, and the other thing, then anything he touches should also be thrown out.
And I will respectfully disagree. In my opinion, saying slipping one past the goalie seems rather deceitful.
Why?
My view is
On a Monday it looked like a 9, and on a Tuesday, because he did abracadabra to it, it's a 10. You altered it.
my view here is that as long as it doesn't affect the long-term condition, i.e., it looks good on a Tuesday, but a month from now, whatever you put on it erodes and the card then, the condition changes. I don't have any issues. Like if you're able to, I mean, you say you can't fix scratches. I've watched some of the content that he puts out live, and he is able to quote unquote fix scratches with some of the stuff that he does. So,
You cannot fix a scratch.
well,
A scratch as any kind of indent into a chrome card cannot be fixed.
it says you. I've literally
It
watched.
cannot. You put an indent into that card. There's nothing you're rubbing on that thing to take it off.
Guy, I've
He's just
literally.
showing you a little smudge something or other, and say, "Oh, look, I took it off."
Guy, once again, you don't take the time to actually watch the content to see what is actually going on, and you just have your own personal experience, and you weren't able to do it. But
Can't clean scratches.
I've watched the content, and he's able to in the content that he produced, whether or not it's camera trickery or not, he was able to fix some scratches, fix some issues with corners, and I mean, the way I look at it is as long as it doesn't affect the long-term condition of the card, like whatever solution you're putting on or however you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, as long as a month from now, 3 months from now, 3 years from now, the card doesn't, turn green, then I don't have any issues. The biggest issue I have is if you actually alter the size of the card, by trimming it. But if you're able to fix the condition of a card, I mean, I don't see any issues with it as long as it doesn't affect the long-term condition. So the next person that buys it then has to deal with whatever it is you did to it. But if you're able to fix the corner, so now it's better, and it stays that way for the duration of the life of the card, I don't have any problems with it.
But you made a ding corner look like a sharp corner. It's not a sharp corner because it was ding.
But that's
You
the
altered
same.
it.
That's
No,
so.
no,
If,
it's not the same.
if a car has a dent in it, and you're able to pull the dent out and make it look like new, did the car not have a dent in it?
I'm not getting my car graded.
So
Doesn't matter.
in certain
With the
cases,
dent in it, yes, it was a certain grade.
in certain cases, there are collector cars, and cars are restored.
Oh boy.
And so that brings up the next question: should he have to declare that the card was restored, quote unquote? I mean,
I don't know.
It's the same example.
This is probably so insignificant in the world of grading that
I mean,
doesn't matter. But I don't think you should declare. I mean, I don't know. Like once it gets into slab, I doubt anything he's doing, to your point, is going to show 2 or 3 months later that we're aware of. So once it's in a slab, who cares? No one's going to know. Great, you fooled the graders, and now that card is what it is forever. I mean, I don't know how else to look at this other than if you're asking me straight up, is he altering cards? Yes, he's altering cards. But once it gets in there, okay, it looks a 10 and then it says it's a 10. Okay.
But is this definition of altering cards the same as trimming?
No, he's not trimming cards, to my knowledge.
I know that, but what I'm saying is, if you can quote unquote fix a scratch, fix a corner, is that the same as literally trimming a card to fix the centering?
Well, like I said, if you can do anything to the surface, I'm not as mad at fixing surface. So if you can make water part and pull a scratch out of a chrome card, which you can't, but you did it anyway. Great.
Can we pause? You just equated him to Jesus, but sure. I understand that it's Sunday morning, but let's.
Oh God. Anyway, I I don't even know what you asked me or where I was going with that, but
I mean,
yeah, I'm okay with, again, with as far as the surface. People try to clean the surface all the time. I clean. I wipe down every card.
yeah,
That Mahomes 10 we got had crap all over the surface,
yeah.
and it was just topical, whatever. I didn't need anything other than a microfiber cloth, and it all came off. I didn't use any magical stuff. Just wiped it off, cleaned the surface, fine. That I didn't put the stuff there. I got it off of there.
Yeah.
But once you start, I don't know. I don't know. If you can make edges go from an 8 to a 10 or corners go from a 9 to a 10, you're altering the card.
But where's the problem? I mean, so people keep harping on it's the integrity of the card and the hobby, but where's the problem? If I can take, so let's say there's the fucking shit that's on the edges and I can take a piece of tape and, basically clean the edges off so that it doesn't have those little frilly things on the edges and it's clean and it goes from a 9 to a 10. Where's the problem in that?
If all you're doing is taking those little shards off, yeah, I don't give a shit about that.
So, and they're, I mean, so
that's... And if a Herbert sold for 1.2 million because he took a piece of tape and pulled the little shards off the card of the terrible print cutting presses at Panini, good for him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So where's the line? Where's the line? At some point, there's got to be a line. Because he's doing things where you see like a dinged white corner and making it look sharp, and the edges where you actually see a lot of white. I get it. You got little frillies hanging off the card. They just didn't get cut well, so they come off easy. But I'm talking when the card's damaged. And you could argue that some of you still get a good edge grade even with some of those things, because I've sent Prism cards in with those on them. I've never tried to remove them personally. Not anymore. Not anymore. You're not getting 10s.
Well, maybe not anymore. But
the point that I'm making here is you as the purist and the collector and the one that stands for the good of the hobby. Like, where's the line? Like, where is the line in the sand that says you can't cross this? And then it's altering. And because the way I look at it, once again, is if there's a little white and you're able to kind of press it down and maneuver it a little bit so that the white goes away and you can't see the white.
Well, who doesn't try to do that?
Well, then according to you, it's altering and it's fucking slap on the wrist and you shouldn't be able to do anything with it.
Well, why do I need a kit? What's in the kit?
Gives a fuck what's in the kit, guy. Would stick to the point here. Stick to the point of what we're talking about.
I don't know. I think the line is clean the surface off, and that's all you can do.
So if you try to massage a corner out so you can't see the white, that's considered altering, and you should be able to send it in for grading. Because
if you're doing it with your own bare hands, no, it's not altering. If you're purchasing a kit and watching content to get it done, it's altering. You got me in a corner. So
yeah, you are a cornered animal right now, just throwing desperate haymakers. Now you're just angry that the fact that this dude's making money from selling a kit versus you doing it yourself with a Q-tip.
What did we call those people earlier?
I don't know. I didn't remember we called anybody anything stupid. That's the only thing I can think of. But I mean, to me, the way I look at this is it's kind of like you versus the grading company. And as long as you do not do anything to alter the overall condition of the card for the worse, as far as something bad will happen at a later date. Like you press it down and then all of a sudden 6 months later, the corner rolls back up. And then it's in a 10 slab, but the corner rolls back up, or whatever happens, the card turns green because of whatever you put on it. That would, in my opinion, altering, and you shouldn't be able to do that. But otherwise, if the card stays in the same condition for the duration of the life of the card, then in my opinion, you made it better, and you don't have to disclose that to the next person.
Or the more you say that, I hope it doesn't change. I wonder. It's making me think. I bet you that's going to happen in a lot of cases.
It's possible
over time, yeah. That would be a bigger problem.
I mean, you never know as far as whether or not, whatever it is you put on there to quote unquote erase the scratch or fill the dimple or whatever, it dries out or evaporates.
He fills dimples.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, good Lord.
Well, regardless, whatever. I mean, it that stuff dries out.
And PSA can't see that.
Apparently not. I mean, dude,
Good Lord.
if you actually
That's holding a convention right now for all they're watching is Kurt's card care videos right now.
if you actually we were gonna have him on the show as a guest, but apparently we're not going to unless it's gonna be me as a solo interview because you're
I
so
won't crush him.
biased and whatever, but it's just
Yeah,
like
agree with me, and if you don't, you're biased. No, I don't have to like it, damn it.
I understand that, but we're not going to be an asshole to this guy so that he can
I
come
wouldn't
on and
be an
get
asshole
beat
to
up by
him.
you.
Yeah.
Anyway, I lost my complete train of thought here.
You were saying it's altering cards and he shouldn't do it.
No, that's not what I was saying.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know whether or not whatever solutions that he uses will evaporate in 6 months or 6 years or whatever. So therein lies the wild card, and it definitely has drawn some attention from Nat has commented on some posts, especially in relation to one specific Kobe card, and he asked specifically.
Yeah, he goes, so you altered it?
Yeah, no, he did not say that. He asked specifically what he did to the card because the card was.
He said, what did you do to alter it? He used the word alter. I saw it in a post.
I don't know.
I swear he did.
He did not. Now you're gonna make me fucking find it to prove you wrong.
We'll find it later.
You're killing me.
For those listening, I could be wrong, but
yeah,
I think I remember Nat using the word alter.
For those listening, you're more than likely wrong. I know where it was. I just don't know where I posted it.
Oh, what did you do? Retweet it?
No. I think I threw it in Discord, but I don't know if I did or not. I can't find it. Damn it. I don't believe he used alter. I think he said, what did you specifically do to the card? Either way, it's definitely drawing attention from PSA. So regardless of where you fall on the issue, you may not want to, if you're actually doing things to your cards before you send them to PSA, you may not want to post it on social media.
Well, because here's the thing. Even if he's got these really cool tips and tricks on corners and edges, and some of them are, the card just came that way because of poor QC, and you, like we talked about, you're able just to flatten some of that stuff. That's fine. No grader's ever going to be able to see that. But I think if they see all his tricks for some of these bent down corners and other edges and stuff, and they look a little harder along those things, I think you're going to see the stuff. Which makes me wonder, are you not looking that hard anyway?
I mean, and that's the whole thing. Some of the stuff that he does, it's like turning 7s into 8s or 7s into 9s, things that are like...
Yeah, he's not making everything gem, so that's fair.
Exactly, and it's not a matter of everything's gonna gem. It's more a matter of just trying to improve the grade.
Upgrading it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that grading prices have come down and you got what you felt was an unfair 7, and, there are some tips to try and resubmit for $30 to try to get a 9, and that dramatically increases the value of the card. In my opinion, once again, I say go for it as long as you don't do anything that affects the long-term value, the long-term condition of the card.
I just have a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that the card in its state was a 7.
Well, I mean, as well as I do.
Your magic, and now all of a sudden it's a 9.
You know as well as I do.
Taking subjectivity of graders out of it. It goes from a 7 to a 9 just by doing stuff to it.
Well, cleaning surface,
I have a
taking
big
crap off edges.
Yeah, well, listen, like I said, I have no problem. You clean the surface and pump up a grade, great. I'm sorry that the lazy person who sent it in before you didn't try to clean the surface.
Well, I mean, trying to smooth out edges and other things, it's been done before, and I don't see a problem with it. You can come at me and yell at me and say that it's not for the purity of the hobby and it's not fair for the next person that buys it, but
yeah, the majority of people listening are like loving it because I can make more money now.
No, surprisingly enough, man, when we talked about some stuff in the past as far as overall card condition, I got flamed by a few emails that came in regards for the way I talked about some stuff, and we had to do that whole clarification on what I thought was altering and stuff like that. So more than likely,
I
there's
vaguely remember that. I don't remember the topic though.
yeah, more than likely there's some people out there that'll disagree, but that's great. That's why we have these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
But
we're
I'm not getting on board with it's not altering. Not yet.
that's fine until we need to clean up the condition of a card that we buy on eBay because of something that we couldn't see, and then you're altering the card before we send it to PSA.
Yeah, okay. That's what I do. I alter cards.
Anyway, all right, let's move on. Pujols, Albert,
Albert.
seven hundo. He is the fourth member of the 700 home run club. Is that correct?
You got Bonds.
Ruth, Aaron, and now
You got
Pujols.
Aaron.
Oh, A Rod. No, A Rod's in
Oh,
like
A Rod's at
696.
699,
Yeah,
sir. There's the you got Bonds, you got Aaron, and you got Pujols
and Ruth.
and Ruth.
Yeah, so he's the fourth member of the 700 club. Let's talk about hobby value for Mr. Pujols, and let's
If you
say
have them, sell them.
fair enough. That kind of just,
You ain't buying Albert right now. He's going bonkers.
of course. So let's talk about, obviously he came out in an era that there wasn't 7,000 different cards to choose from as far as rookies are concerned. So from the perspective of rookie cards, what do you feel is out there as far as uh, decent rookie cards to buy? Obviously, we're not recommending buying now, but at the same time, 6 months from now in an off season, especially when he retires, or even a year from now when he's been gone from the game, and it's in between his time, from retirement to Hall of Fame. And I do want to buy Pujols. What are your suggestions as far as potential cards?
Well, if you're looking on the cheaper side, the products I would look at, 2001 Bowman Raw, Fleer Tradition Raw, um, you know, the products like the Topps Chrome and the Topps Chrome Traded. They're going for big bucks now, and they're not going to back off in the off season. But in addition to the Bowman and Fleer, there's also there was a Topps Gallery release that year. There's a Top Stars release. So some of these other lower end releases where you can get some raw cards at a decent price and maybe look to grade them, because the grades will come back big on these. Like you're looking at a lower raw translating into a nice grade if you can get on it.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is pretty expensive. 2001 Topps Traded base PSA 10 going for 2,400 last sale. I mean, the pops are pretty low.
What's the card number on that one? Is that the
Uh,
247, or
yeah,
you're looking at the
T247.
yeah?
So, surprisingly enough, the PSA 9 not terrible. Even with the overinflation, because PSA 2001 Topps Traded PSA 9 base pop is 1,100. In September, this card was going for 319. It topped out at 540. Currently selling for 480. I would have to say that this, in the off season and in the next year, gets back to that $300 to $400 range, and that's
it definitely will.
and
This will definitely calm down.
yeah, and if you can get one of his flagship rookies for between as a PSA 9 between 300 and 400, and the pops are low. I mean, the pops aren't going to all of a sudden jump on these cards. Are 20 years old, so
No,
that's
and
not
I
bad.
ripped a ton of that 2001 Topps Traded 20 years ago, like a ton of it. And those cards are pretty condition sensitive because of the green border paper. They were tough.
Yeah, I mean, and even the gold 2001. If you look at this card, I mean, if you have the money and you're a big Pujols person, um, $2,000, you probably see this thing come back to somewhere around there. Especially if economic conditions continue and you know the hype around his chase for 700 goes down. I mean, you could be looking at the gold 2001 version of this at PSA 9. You probably be able to get it for around $2,000, which isn't terrible for one of the potentially top 5 best home run hitters of all time.
Oh, I'd be all over that for $2,000.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to touch the Pujols card I need now after he hit number 700. My dumb ass watches it go out. I'm like, oh, I'm happy for you, but I'm never going to own that card.
Let's see if we can,
Price is skyrocketed.
let's see if we can find. Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is crazy. Anything 2001 Bowman, geez, his 2001 Bowman Chrome Auto just sold for almost 500 grand.
Yeah.
Well, not just sold. Back in February, it sold for almost 500 grand. So now you're probably
It
talking.
might be the next 7-figure card, sir.
Yeah, it's possible. What were some of the other ones that you mentioned? I'm trying to find some other like lower price stuff.
Lower end one, look at Topps Gabby, product called Top Stars,
I don't know if any.
Fleer Tradition.
I don't know if any of that's gonna be in card ladder.
Oh, probably not.
Let's go. Give me price.
What are you looking at? Bowman Heritage even probably isn't that expensive. He's got a card in that year.
That's an interesting card. 2001 Topps traded Ichiro and Pujols Chrome PSA 8 going for 255. That's not terrible. And you get that to come down in the offseason. You get that for probably between 100 and 150 bucks. Pop's pretty low on that. Obviously Ichiro.
That's card number 99.
That is card number 99.
I know that's set forwards and backwards. Yeah, that's a cool card.
And the Pop's super low on it. Ichiro Hall of Fame, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, so 2 Hall of Famers, 1 card. PSA 9 last sold for 500. So that also probably come down, get that between 300 and 400. So there's some stuff out there you can pick up that's low numbered, high grade. PSA 10 stuff's going to be pretty damn expensive, but otherwise, let's see, 2001 Upper Deck, PSA 9. Wow, this card freaking skyrocketed. This card was selling for $100 roughly back in August. Last sale, 283, triple
Wow.
in that time. So there's definitely going to be some opportunities. With any surge in the market, you are going to see stuff, plummet, I think, more than likely in the next 6 months to a year when the hype dies down and, only your true Pujols fans are holding and selling for, trying to sell for bigger dollars. But guys are going to make their money and get out.
So, yeah, exactly. So you got to let that cool down right now because everything's going for more than it should.
So look, when you're looking for entries on these cards, look for the range of where things were from like January to, even January to June. Things were selling roughly in the range, and then as he started to heat up and get closer to 700, stuff started to surge in that July, August, September period. So if you look at stuff, we're beginning of 2022. Even end of 2021 where prices were, that's most likely where you'll see stuff come back down to. So that's where I'd be looking for entry. And the only thing is there's not a ton of these cards out there. 2001 Bowman base pop 798 PSA 9 last sold for 356. That card also should come back down to reasonable value between 150 and 250. So there's definitely stuff out there that's reasonable for Pujols if you want to grab it. Just PSA 10 stuff's going to be really expensive. There's low pops on all of it because a lot of this stuff was really hard to gem. Anything else on Mr. Pujols?
No, congrats on 700. I think that's awesome.
The machine. One of the few to do it that never really had any kind of like steroid cloud over his head.
Well, I don't know that I'd say that. Your conspiracy theorists would argue they made sure you didn't find out about Albert.
Well, I mean, he wasn't part of the whole Senate hearings, and he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of names in that Mitchell report that we'll never know. I know that they chose A-Rod to leak and make an example out of him, but a lot of names in that report I don't think we know. I don't think that's been unearthed. So,
I
but
mean,
doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. He's a non-user, unlike David Ortiz,
I think
who was a
it,
user.
I mean, honestly, regardless of your Red Sox Yankee bias in here, I think the biggest thing is I think if you look at his size when he was a rookie and you look at his
Oh,
size
he was a big
now,
dude.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah.
it's virtually the same. He's gotten chunkier, like he's put on some old man weight. But other than that, he like Bonds. If you look at his rookie year versus when he was in his heyday of hitting home runs,
Yeah.
like his head was 3 times the size and his body was 7 times the size of when he was a rookie. Pujols, you can't say that about. I mean,
Yeah, I just, for me to clarify, I just don't like the fact that some used, some didn't, and then we have records and stats and whatever because some used, some didn't, and then the other thing is we don't know who used and who didn't in a lot of cases.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I could care less about PEDs. Hitting a baseball is freaking hard enough. So, yeah, you recover a little better, and yeah, you're a little stronger, but you still got to put the good part of the bat on the ball, being thrown at 100 miles an hour all over the place. So the fact that you did it 700 times, with a little help, fine. That really doesn't bother me.
yeah. I mean,
It just ruins it for those that didn't do it, and you're like, well, what could they have been if they had used and blah blah blah. Like I get it, I get the against it. I'm just saying I don't care about them because hitting is still hard.
yeah,
But on the
and
seventh day of a 10-game road trip, you're doing a little better than the guy next to you because you're recovering better and et cetera. I get it. I get all the things, but
yeah, and I don't think the hobby cares. There's definitely some higher.
oh, they care about the card values. Guys
Mm,
that are used guys are get crucified. Alex Rodriguez is stuff you can get if you want to bank on him ever making a comeback somehow. I would buy Alex Rodriguez right now. Barry Bonds stuff's dirt cheap. Some of it he's got some rare cards that people still sell high, but you can get in on his 86 stuff cheap.
I mean, some of the rarer stuff from in the '80s is still going for pretty big dollars.
Yeah, but not as big as they should.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, 1987 Barry
It's Barry
Bonds
Bonds. Look at his stats,
PSA
dude.
10. Yeah, only going for
That's what I
18.
mean. Like he just gets diminished in the hobby. He should be on top of the hobby.
True. I mean,
But
I guess
people
anything.
think he's an a-hole and the blah 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 blah, so he just gets crushed.
Yeah, I mean, his 1987 Topps Tiffany PSA 10, $1,500. Last
Right,
sold.
that card should be through the roof.
Yeah, I mean the pop is 253, and it last sold for $1,500. I mean it's a low pop Barry Bonds PSA 10 rookie. Um,
Right, that should be a five-figure card at minimum.
yeah, I mean, geez, any card that freaking Ruth's even in the background goes for 5 figures. It doesn't even have to be a
Yeah.
Ruth card. If Ruth's standing on the side, that thing's going for huge dollars. Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize his stuff was this low. But anyway, all right, here we go. After weeks of, well, I don't know about weeks, but at least a week of putting this off, here comes the football extravaganza, mega buy, sell, hold, state of the football season. What are we doing? We're going to talk mostly quarterbacks for this segment. There's a lot of guys to talk about simply because there are certain guys that are outperforming their hobby value. And then there are a lot of guys that are underperforming their hobby value. So, you have anybody you want to start with, or you want me to just throw some names out there for you?
Yeah, let's start throwing some names out, sir.
All right. Well, we will start with, let's start with the bang. Mr. Joe Burrow came in as a hobby darling, let's say, and I think obviously the Bengals are 0-2, and people are worried as far as the Joe Burrow market is concerned. He took him to the Super Bowl last year, basically out of nowhere, and this year, they're 0-2. They do not look good. He doesn't look particularly good, and his stuff is, I wouldn't say crashing, but it ain't doing well. For example, looking at his Prism Silver PSA 10, Pop 182, this card was selling for $3,000 back in July. Currently last hit a low in September, 1875, so almost half in the last few months. What are your thoughts on the Joe Burrow market?
I think it's going to actually take several big time games for him to show any movement on his cards. Just a feeling I get. Someone pointed out to us, it's almost like once someone hits a Super Bowl, nobody cares anymore.
But he didn't win.
Remember that conversation?
Yeah. But the question is, he didn't win, and B,
but he got there.
Yeah. So is that now the only way that his stuff is going to jump?
Yeah, it's almost like what I've learned with football. It's almost like, unless he comes out and he's slinging 400 yards and 4 TDs for a month, I don't think you're going to see any movement on his stuff.
And the question is it going to go sideways, or do you think it's going to continue to go down? Like, if he still puts up numbers, like if he's throwing for 303, and he's putting up numbers, but the Bengals aren't winning, is he still, September 11th versus Steelers, he had 338 and 2 touchdowns, but he also threw 4 picks. And then last week he threw for 199 and a touchdown, which obviously sucks. So, I guess, does he have to hit unrealistic numbers, or else his stuff's going to go sideways or down? And is there a point where you are going to look to get in, because this is only the second year? This is the third year of his career?
Yeah, he's shown me enough that I would absolutely be on top of his stuff and doing my homework on when to get in. Do I think it can still go down more? Yeah, there's probably some room still for him to go down. Coming into the season, you would have thought he would have bumped a little bit because everyone's hyped coming off the Super Bowl, but it just didn't budge. And after week 1, it just, with the 4 picks, it went down. Like, he was trending down a lot. He was even trending down a lot before he even threw past that game.
Yeah. His stuff's been basically trending down all season. I mean, there's been a little bit of sideways movement, in preseason training camp, but one of the cards I'm looking at now, Opticalo PSA 10. If you look at the range on this card, the lows are in the low 400s. Last sale was $555. I mean, you could see this card drop another $100 easily, and honestly, that's when I'd look to start getting in. A guy like Joe Burrow, who's only in the third year of his career, has proven that he's a winner his entire career. I'm not, looking to give up on him completely, but at the same time, let me get in. Give me another shot to get in at rock bottom.
Yeah. And I think you're probably going to see it, unless they go on some kind of sick run in the middle of the season.
Yeah. So my recommendation, or our recommendation on Burrow, would be to wait and then look for opportunities as his values continue to go down.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'd be looking for the opportunities on him.
Yep. All right, next guy on the list, his 2020 mate, Mr. Justin Herbert. Thoughts on Herbert?
Well, I'm anxiously waiting to see if he's going to play today.
Well, yes, you have fantasy interest for that.
Fantasy interest, yeah. But I mean, the guy looks awesome, dude. Like, he's a gamer. He's a tough SOB. I don't know from a organizational standpoint, because look at all the years Rivers and them had great regular seasons and then just couldn't do anything in the playoffs. So
yeah.
I don't know. The only thing that might Herbert is, are they ever going to go anywhere? Is there ever going to be a great enough talent around him that they go anywhere? Because I have no doubt he's going to put up his numbers. I mean, and he does some absurd things on the field. But, is he going to win enough playoff games or go deep enough that anyone's going to care?
So the interesting part of Herbert's market is you had some of his rarer cards sell for all-time highs. Literally, we mentioned it earlier, you had a couple cards of his recently sell for over $1 million. Yep. So the rarer stuff people are definitely on board with, and but 99.9% of the population can't afford $1 million. So right now I'm looking at his optic hollow PSA 10, and this thing is so tight as far as the range is concerned of where this card has sold. I'm looking back in January, the bottom of the range 660, and then 850, 900. It's literally sold between 650 and 900 consistently, and most of the time it's between 700 and 850 over the last 9 months. And even during preseason, during regular season, during whatever, over the last 9 months, this card has literally been in $150 to $200 range. So, I mean, if you can pick it up 650, 700, or any of his cards for that matter in that range, or the bottom of the range, I would say you're in a good spot for long term hold. And you got to hope that he goes on a Burrow like run where he gets them to the playoffs and they go deep in the playoffs and can, either make the Super Bowl or win.
Yeah, especially if you're getting in at those levels and he can put on one of those runs. If you're not in for long term, you're going to be able to flip that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like his Prism Silver, same situation. Stuff's it's in a pretty tight range, and people are just waiting and seeing until he either breaks out or fails. And, once again, also third year of his career. I mean, last week was really telling as far as his just willingness to go out there and play and be a gamer, so to speak. Dude's literally holding his ribs and throws a 25-yard dart, to try to get them in a position to win the game. And, so you just got to hope for the sake of him as a player that he's going to be able to do something. All right. Let's talk about an interesting one. Kyler Murray.
Kyler.
Well, after last week, you got to talk about him.
What do you have? 5, 6 touchdowns?
I mean, his stats last week were insane, and
But he's got to be at rock bottom right now, isn't he?
I mean, so
prior to last week,
I equate Kyler Murray to Trae Young as far as his he's a good player, but the hobby fucking hates him. Like Kyler Murray, literally, if you look at the end of 2021, his optic hollow PSA 10 was selling for $10.80. Last sale on this $305. So in the last year, his cards have dropped by 65%.
Yeah, well, again, I talked about this a bunch of episodes ago when you were highlighting Kyler Murray. His second halves have been dog crap, dude. He's just been he gets off to a good start, and this is him and the team, and then they just finished terribly. They just show no signs of ever going anywhere meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, his stats last week, I think he did a lot more on the ground than he did through the air. But I'm going to bring up his stats. So last week he threw for 277 and a touchdown, but he also, I think he ran for a ton of yards. Where's his rushing stats, ESPN? Come on. Stats. Rushing. No, he rushed for one touchdown as well last weekend, but he also got them back in the game and helped them win. So I don't know. I mean, you look at his overall numbers; they're decent. It's like as I said, he's Trae Young. I mean, 2020 he had 11 rushing touchdowns to go with 26 passing touchdowns. He had 37 total touchdowns. He rushed for almost 800 plus yards in 2020.
And yet no love.
Zero. The hobby hates him. So once again, regardless of what he seems to do on the field, unless he brings them to a Super Bowl, which is highly doubtful, I would say you probably got to pass on Kyler. I'd be holding or selling if you're already into it. But I'm not buying on Kyler.
No, because there's just no evidence to suggest it's going to go up at all.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Next, we have a show favorite,
Oh boy.
Jalen Hurts.
Oh, they're gonna throw two at me.
Nope, two is coming up soon, but we'll talk Jalen first. Jalen been Jalen's been recommended multiple times on this podcast.
He looks good. I hate to say it as an Eagle, but he looks good.
May have recommended him a little too early, but his stuff is climbing. And the question becomes, are you late to the party? And or are you too late to the party? Back in January of 2022, his Prism Silver PSA 10 sold for 261. Last sale 800.
Wow.
The more realistic range is in $500 to $600 as far as regular sales, but there's one sale back in August for 750, and the last sale of the card itself was 800. So the question is, are you too late to this Jalen Hurts party, or is there still room? And if you can get it, let's say I give you the opportunity to get this card right now at 520, which is double what it was in January. Are you buying or are you passing?
520. And what's the highest sale on it?
The highest sale was 800, but it was a buy it now, I believe.
Okay, so price.
Yeah, it was a best. Yeah, it was a best. So September 21st best offer 800, September 18th 510 at auction. So 3 days apart. I mean, granted, I think there was probably a game in between. 18th. Yeah, so the Eagles played, in between there, but still. Let's say I give you the opportunity to buy this at 520, which is double what it sold for in January. Are you buying?
I mean, logic tells me that I shouldn't. but with that being said, if he plays as well as he's playing right now, I think it's going to continue to climb.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are hungry for quarterbacks. People are hungry for prices going up, and I think that the Eagles play in a weak division, and they're probably going to win the division. So if they win that division and go into the playoffs or go deep into the playoffs, his stuff's going to continue to climb all season, I believe.
And especially with these guys that aren't getting any love, that means the love's going somewhere else. So if it looks like it's climbing a bit and that's where the money's going, it's probably a little safer.
Yeah, and we're going to get to potentially where the love's going here in a second. We're going to look at one other, see if I can find it. Some of his specialty cards, like his 2020 Optic Downtown stuff's going nuts. This card was selling back in February for 177, topped out at 700 plus. So for those that are saying that there's not opportunities for 4 and 5x your money in the hobby, it's definitely just more of a long-term play. Optic Downtown 550 back in February, last sale 1550.
Wow.
That's a nice little chunk of change. So speaking of where the love may be going, 2020, another show favorite, another quarterback that's been recommended on this podcast multiple times, Tua Tagovailoa.
I still can't figure out how this guy's good.
Is it a matter
I can't argue with what I'm seeing.
Is it a matter of him being good, or is it a matter of him just being able to kind of vomit the ball to Waddle and Tyreek?
Well, I saw some guy make a video. So that Tyreek throw where he throws it as hard as he can, and Tyreek's got to like change route, dive, and like it comes down like a raindrop, and he dives and catches it. And they were trying to tell me how accurate. Like, look at the accuracy that Tua possesses here. I'm like, no. He heaved it. Tyreek altered course, and it came straight down, and he dove and made a catch. There was no accuracy there. But and I get it. The whole, he was 70, the highest accurate quarterback. I know, but the passes went 8 yards. But yeah, you might be right. I mean, is it Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and the combination makes it damn near impossible, and it just makes his life easier to get the football? I don't know, but is anyone going to argue with the result?
No.
No, I mean, I'm certainly not. If I'm from a card perspective, if he's winning games and putting up stats, I don't care how he's doing it.
So here's the interesting thing. Unfortunately, Card Ladder does not have his PSA 10 silver, but raw, you can still get his raw silver for 150 bucks.
Wow.
Last sale, September 24th, 124.50. This, similar to Herbert in that, it's been in a pretty tight range of 75 to 150 for the most part, for since the beginning of the year. And 923, this card sold for 76 bucks. I mean, in my opinion, I'd be looking for these on eBay all day long, trying to find ones that are in good condition that you may be able to get, take your shot as far as getting a 10 on. I mean,
right, and at that price point, it's relatively low risk.
Yeah, I mean, and as far as the AFC East, other than the Bills, Pats do not look strong. Jets are the Jets. I mean, yes, they had a miracle win last week, but I'm not really worried about the Jets in the East. So they have a good shot to win some games. And optic hollow card. Geez Louise, this thing went from to $200 to $32. I mean,
yeah, it was low.
I mean, you can get these cards for probably 35 to 40 bucks.
Oh, that's where they're sitting now. Holy smokes!
Yeah,
Yeah, that's nothing.
There's opportunities out there for buying some of his stuff if you really feel like Miami can go on a run. People have not gotten that crazy. His silver or his Prism Auto PSA 10s are still selling for less than $2,000. And to put that in perspective, both Burrow and Herbert's non-auto Prism Silver PSA 10 stuff's all selling for 2,500 plus. So I think there's still a little hesitation here as far as his market is concerned.
Well, big test today because they're playing Buffalo. So
yeah, I mean,
we'll see what happens. If he puts up a monster game against Buffalo, hold on.
Yeah, 100%. Do we dare talk Daniel Jones with the 2-0 Giants?
No, because he's terrible.
Who else you got on your list? Who else do we want to look at?
I got nobody. I'm just riding your coattails here.
Apparently, you once again did a whole lot of show preparation as per usual.
You can't tell?
Yes. I mean, the other stuff to look at, buy, sell, hold. We talked about it before the season. Your 2021 rookies of Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor, and Zach.
The whole class.
Honestly, I think Trevor
looks a little better. But...
yeah, I think Trevor is solid, and I think his stuff's gonna take off. I think maybe not this year, but at some point, Jacksonville's going to get it together a little bit as far as putting a complete team on the field. They beat the Colts 24-0 last week. Colts were supposed to be good. And
with the hype surrounding him and being the number one overall, and how bad he was last year in that situation, and how the Cards, same situation, they should be worth more than they are just because of the hype train and where he went, and they're not. So yeah, like to your point, I'd be looking to get in now at any opportunity possible, because if they do turn it around, I think you're going to see a bigger return than on most guys.
I would completely agree, and it's just a matter of buying the right cards. Stay away from the stuff that's like crazy, and try to find stuff that you can get that's low pop, that's decently affordable. Short print stuff. And optic hollow, prism silver, things you may be able to get. I'm looking at a 2021 optic hollow SGC 9.5 that sold for $150. That's respectable and decent. There will be opportunities out there to pick up some of his short print stuff and bait. I don't even say base because I wouldn't buy that, but like your prism colors. 2021 Prism Trevor Lawrence Disco Orange, sold for 150 best offer, so you could probably get it better than that at auction. So there's opportunities out there. His Prism Silver Raw went for 150 best offer. Yeah, I think there's opportunities out there to get some of his stuff at reasonable prices. You just have to dig around and find it and do the best you can to potentially get stuff that's gradable.
I like it. I tell you what, though, Danny Dimes lights up the Cowboys tomorrow night. We can do a Danny Dimes segment for you.
Okay, fair enough. As far as the other guys in that class, Trey Lance's ankles in three pieces. Not sure where his career goes, especially if Jimmy Garoppolo leads the Niners to the playoffs. That's a tough call for San Francisco, whether or not they keep Garoppolo and try to make a run with him now versus trying to nurture Lance along, or they just trade Trey Lance and get whatever they can for him. And if they trade Trey Lance to a shit team, you can kiss Trey Lance's value goodbye.
Right. So again, at this point with Lance, if he still can salvage something because people are buying it on the way down, then get rid of it. Otherwise, I think you'll see some nice lows if you're a truther.
Yeah, if you really believe in Trey Lance, there's definitely going to be some opportunities to buy at rock bottom prices in probably 5 months from now when the season's over and everybody forgets, about.
And he's off crutches.
Yeah, exactly. Justin Fields, who knows? Bears are 1-1, and he hasn't shown much of anything as of yet, so we don't know where to go with him.
He hates his tight end, I can tell you that.
Yeah, fuck. As somebody who has Cole Kmet and read into the whole Cole Kmet sleeper breakout freaking hype in the offseason, Cole Kmet has 2 targets and 0 catches over the first 2 games of the season. So I don't know. Zach Wilson hasn't seen the field yet, so we have no idea how he's gonna.
By Joe Flacco.
Yeah, bond with the whatever. With the offense and some of the rookies. Then you got Mac. I'm selling the fuck out of the Patriots and Mac.
Yep, agreed.
I don't think that they're good. I don't think that Belichick hangs around for losing seasons. If they're just not good, I think at some point Belichick retires and that whole organization just goes down the rest of the drain. And Mac's gonna swirl right along with it. So I am not touching anything Mac Jones. Any non QBs you want to talk about here?
Not off the top of my head, sir. You got one?
Well, let's talk one other QB before we move on. I just had to pull up some quick stats here just to make sure we weren't missing anybody. Let's talk about Mr. Carson Wentz, who seems to be having a resurgence with the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with Carson Wentz, anything's possible. People were high on him for well longer than I thought anyone should be high on him, or extracting value out of his card. So at this point, nothing would surprise me.
Well, let's do a quick little, and we have 2 other guys that I, obviously forgot to mention. So 2016 Prism for Carson Wentz Raws are going for $6.50. PSA 10, $85. Population 762. If you think that Wentz can do anything with the Commanders, there's opportunities for value. His PSA 10 Optic Hollows, $46 last sale. So his stuff is dirt ass cheap right now, as dirt ass cheap goes. And if you feel that you can, that there is value there, and you feel that Wentz is going to do something with that team, now would be the time, because as of the first few weeks of the season, the hobby is not hopping on board and isn't buying. At least his stuff that's reasonable. Even his stained glass stuff that's in kabooms and stained glass and other things from other years. All this stuff selling for raw less than $100.
Yeah, I don't know. Even at those low prices, Carson Wentz doesn't excite me. It's someone to get behind.
Everybody's always looking for a deal, though. You know, these guys are looking for lottery tickets, so I figure we'll talk about it. Two more to talk about. Patty Mahomes. Hello, you still with us?
Yeah.
Did
I
you have
thought
a
you said you had something profound to say
did
about
you have a
Patrick.
did you have a seizure? Um,
No, his stuff finally going up a bit.
yeah, his card that we've spent a lot of time with, 2017 Prism Silver PSA 9. We bought and sold this card multiple times because at one point it was an easy win. Roughly 875 in August. Last sale 1,000. So there is some people that are coming back to the Mahomes market and starting to get back on the train. People feeling that he's legit again.
Well, he's certainly off to a better start than last year. No.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he keeps this ride, and yeah, that card may skyrocket.
Well, I mean, the pop on has grown pretty significantly.
Where are we at these days?
2,500
All
roughly.
right. Yeah, it's getting up there.
I mean, you look at his Optic Hollow PSA 9. You can probably get that for 650 ish. Population on that's 468. So there's stuff out there that's okay, as far as Mahomes and picking up things if you want to, but I still think he's gonna go down as one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. So I'd be buying right now. His stuff bottomed out after last year, and he's proven that he can still win without Tariq. And so I'm on board. And last but not least, actually not last but not least, we got another one that we didn't talk about. Lamar Jackson.
What about him, sir?
You buy, sell, hold on Lamar.
I don't know. I just don't like watching the Ravens play. So from purely a fantasy perspective, I get no excitement out of watching Lamar Jackson. But I don't know. I mean, is he going to be a Raven for life? Is he going somewhere else? Are they going to pay the dude?
Well, at the rate he's playing right now, they are.
Well, they should, but because he's shown he can win games and he can be a highly productive quarterback. What do the numbers say, though?
Week 1, 213, 3 touchdowns, passing.
Well, I meant the card numbers.
Oh,
yeah.
the card numbers. Okay.
I know he's playing well.
His it's relatively flat over the last basically 12 months. His Prism PSA 10 silver, I mean the pop on this is 27 for crying out loud, so it's basically right at 5,500. PSA 9 pop is 76 for $500, 550. So this card back in March was selling for 825 and it's going down. So there's not a lot of his stuff floating around. Let's see if we can. I mean, his Donruss base PSA 10 $96.
So is this just a scenario of no love or other factors?
I'm trying to. Let's see. PSA 10 Optic Hollow 650 pop 192. This stuff's going up. So this was selling for 4 and change middle of the year. Last sale 650. So this stuff's up 50%. Well, it
should, especially at that low pop.
Yeah.
And his performance right now.
Yeah, if I was looking at Lamar, his PSA 9 Optic Hollow pop 221, last sold for 215. If I was gonna ride some Lamar, this is where I would be. This card has hit $400 multiple times over the last 24 months. And not including the massive spike to almost 800 back in 2020. So this is where I would look. But once again, the pops on this stuff is so low that I don't know. We're not even going to talk about Josh Allen. If you haven't bought in on Josh Allen, you are late to that party. And his stuff has surged so much over the last 6 months that You just gotta. I don't know what you're gonna do.
Okay, but say you got in low, are you still holding?
Ooh, that's a question of whether or not you got balls. If you actually think that the Bills can win the Super Bowl, I'm gonna hold and wait to see if that happens. Because if they go deep and make the Super Bowl and they win the Super Bowl, you got to figure Allen then potentially vaults Mahomes as far as popularity and
Uh-oh.
value because he has a Super Bowl. His the look like the overall dynasty prog outlook for the Bills is much better because the Bills have a solid defense, solid offense. They could easily win another one at some point in the next few years, which the Chiefs, you have no idea. So I think Allen becomes the new Mahomes if he wins the Super Bowl. I mean, his stuff is already bananas right now, and every game they win, it's just going to keep going up.
Yeah.
So if you're already in, and you want to roll the dice and ride it, then there you go. I mean, ride it to hopefully they win a Super Bowl.
I'd probably be more inclined to hedge my bets a little bit and pick some select cards that I can crush right now and pick the things I know will give me, in your scenario, the biggest return if I hold them.
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to, lift up your skirt and grab your cojones here and get in on Josh Allen, then you find some spots where you can buy some stuff and just keep your fingers crossed that they're going to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, I'm not jumping in front of that train because if they don't win,
Oh, I'm not buying. I'm just saying if I'm
yeah,
holding a ton.
yeah. Well, even buying, if you can find opportunities, I think you can easily make 50 to 100% on your money on some of his more common stuff because that stuff's going to go up too. But I'm not touching any of the like auto, low pop, rarer stuff because I mean, that stuff is already really expensive. And God forbid he gets hurt or God forbid, they lose in the first round of the playoffs. You're going to eat it hard on
Right.
that. Last but not least, because he is playing like the least right now, and that would be one Danger Russ Wilson.
Oh boy. Yeah, he might be cooked. I don't know. Small sample size of 2022, but
That therein lies the question. Was his rookie year 2013?
12, 13.
I think it's 12. I think you're right. 12. Yeah, 2012.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, guy, you actually knew something. 2012
Oh,
Topps
plenty.
Chrome. Wow, the bottom has fallen out on this. Earlier this year, card was selling for over $400. Last sale $225. Pop 1321 on the 2012 Topps Chrome base stands and background card, and then the refractor. The pop so low on this. This thing hasn't sold in a year, so we'll not even talk about that. I mean, on paper, they should be good. They have not done anything. So once again, if you're looking for a lottery ticket and you're looking to buy something at literally almost rock bottom, I mean, this card's at a price that it hasn't seen since the pre-pandemic jump. Like this thing was at 150 pre-pandemic before the hobby went nuts. The card's now at 225 and falling. So if you want to talk about buying at rock bottom, you may have an opportunity to do so with Russ. And the pop's not that high.
But he's on the back nine here. Unless he's leading the Broncos deep into the playoffs, are these cards ever going to go up again?
On paper, the Broncos are good.
I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just saying, he's got to win with them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. On paper, they're good. Like they should be winning games. So it's just a question of, do they need time to gel and, they're going to start winning at some point? I'm saying if you want a lottery ticket as far as this season and not like long term and that the Broncos turn it around and win games, Russ is a fan freaking favorite. People love him. He's a nice guy. People want to root for him. So if
And
you're,
it's still Russ Wilson. If you're getting near the bottom as it is, it's not like it's going to go that much lower.
yeah, and that's the thing. You're looking at pre-pandemic spike prices on his stuff right now. Like I'm
Yep.
looking at his 2012 Prism PSA 10 last sold for 330. This card was selling in 2020, like right at the jump for 420 back in June of 2020 before it spiked. So you're lower than where we were before the massive spike in 2020. So could you go down further? Probably a little bit, but I think at some point people are going to start buying because I think at some point people think that Russ is potentially a Hall of Famer. Um, so it's a lottery ticket. Take
Yeah, that's what I
your
mean. But without, I think it's minimal risk.
yeah
It's just about. I just don't know how much you'll make. But at least you got a card of a pretty darn good career quarterback.
yeah. I mean his career numbers are obviously fantastic, and if you're looking for a potential lottery ticket, that would be it. Like his
There,
stuff's cheap. His PSA 10 stuff is cheap, other than obviously the short print auto stuff and whatever. But and PSA 9 even cheaper. So if the Broncos can turn it around and start winning games, then you could be looking at some decent money there.
yeah, there are worse things you could be holding the bag with.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think you're looking at like massive losses and going to zero type stuff. I think at some point over the next whatever, regardless of what the Broncos do, people are going to buy because his prices are so low. They'll take the shot owning at rock bottom, and I think you're pretty close to that right now. All right, guy, that was like 40 freaking minutes. I'll ask the same question that I asked now that we're done with the quarterbacks. Any non-quarterbacks you want to talk about?
Nah, nobody cares about non-quarterbacks.
Justin Jefferson, Jonathan
Nah, he,
Taylor,
he earned
DeAndre
it.
Swift,
Taylor had his peak.
Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, any of these guys.
Well, dude, last we looked, Cooper Kupp got no love until they got to the Super Bowl. I had wish I had bought him like years ago because he's finally spiked with the Super Bowl W, but I don't know where he's at right now.
Probably not
The
great.
dude is always open.
Well, I mean, he just gets eesh, $35. 2017 Prism Silver Raw. PSA 10 250, and that's after a spike. His card 150 3 days ago. So other than like a best offer idiot that bought it, yeah, exactly, a best offer idiot that bought it at 250. Auctions are 150 all day on his Prism Silvers PSA 10.
I mean, that's someone just because I like watching him play. I'd get in at that at 150. Dude's got to keep it up for another 10 years, then maybe he's with the greatest of all time. The card might be worth
Well, I
more.
mean, he's a rookie in 2017, so he's only 5 years in, and he had one of the greatest seasons ever last year.
Yeah, he had the Triple Crown.
He's already freaking rolling this year, so I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, for
And
$150, I'd buy that all day.
let's see if I can find anything else here. Does he have any other cards that are in card ladder? I mean, he had a rookie. Geez, he had a rookie patch auto RPA out of 99 National Treasures that sold for 1,500, which is like dirt cheap for that. For I mean, any quarterbacks on that stuff, you're talking like 5 figures. Yeah, card ladder's got all Prism stuff and National Treasures. There's none of his like optic stuff. But his optic stuff is going to be even cheaper than his Prism stuff, so there'll be opportunities out there for optic hollow and some others.
Yeah, I'm a fan of those optic cards.
Yeah, I
The
like them
optic
as
rookies, anyway.
yeah, I like him as a good alternative to Prism. Yeah, his last
Same price, guy. $35. 31
last
bucks.
optic hollow Prism PSA 10 sold for 207.
9 went for 49 a couple days ago.
PSA 10?
No, PSA 9 went
Oh,
for 49.
PSA 9. Oh my,
Yeah.
never mind. This is not in order. Hold on. Date sold. So, surprisingly enough, no, give me the other, go the other way. Come on, card ladder.
I don't know.
Two
I like
twenty.
these optic hollow autos. They're sharp.
Yeah, 222.50 last optic hollow PSA 10, which is more than Prism, surprisingly enough. But
Yeah.
the pops on this is like less than 50. So I don't know. There's a couple of opportunities for non QBs out there, but you're not going to be talking about anywhere near the same money or the same potential. But if you're looking for opportunities, Cup would be one. Um, you may,
I'm waiting for teams to hit 10 wins. Once they hit 10 wins, I'll see who's available on those teams because it looks like they might actually make some noise in the playoffs, and that's when I'm looking at the non QB players. Because if they ain't going to the playoffs, it's not even worth looking at, unfortunately, with football non quarterbacks.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
you want to,
from the money side of things, you're a collector. Buy whoever you like all day long.
yeah, of course. All right. Well, we are well over time here. Supersized episode. Anything else for the people before we wrap up?
No, sir, guy.
All right. Have a wonderful week. Episode 75 in the books. Once again, I forgot to give the email address at the top of the show. So the 4 people that are listening to this all the way through, info@sportscardadvantage.com if you want to have any questions for us to answer on the show.